The Watts family murders. In the early hours of August 13, 2018, in Frederick, Colorado, American oilfield operator Christopher Lee Watts, born May 16, 1985, murdered his pregnant wife, Shannon, 34, by strangulation, and their two children, Bella, 4, and Celeste, 3, by suffocation. He buried Shannon in a shallow grave near an oil storage facility and dumped his children's bodies into crude oil tanks. Watts initially maintained his innocence in his family's disappearance, but was arrested on August 15 after confessing in an interview with detectives to murdering Shannon. Months later, he also admitted to murdering his children. Christopher Lee Watts and Shannon Catherine Azukek were from North Carolina, Christopher from Spring Lake and Shannon from Aberdeen. They met in 2010 and were married in Mecklenburg County on November 3, 2012. The couple had two daughters, Bella Marie Watts and Celeste Catherine Watts. At the time of her death, Shannon was 15 weeks pregnant with a boy who was to be named Nico. The Watts family lived in a 5-bedroom home at Saratoga Trail in Frederick, Colorado, which they purchased in 2013. The family declared bankruptcy in 2015. Christopher was employed by Anadarko Petroleum, while Shannon worked from home, selling a product called Thrive for a multi-level marketing company named Level. At approximately 1:48 a.m. on Monday, August 13, 2018, Shannon, returning from a business trip to Arizona, was driven home by her friend and colleague Nicole Utoft Atkinson. Over that weekend, Chris Watts had been home with their daughters. Later that day, Shannon and the girls were reported missing by Atkinson, who became concerned when Shannon missed a scheduled obstetrics and gynecology appointment and failed to return her text messages. After Shannon missed a business meeting, Atkinson went to the Watts residence at about 12:10 p.m. When the doorbell and knocks went unanswered, Atkinson notified Christopher, who was at work, and called the Frederick Police Department. A Frederick police officer arrived to conduct a welfare check at about 1:40 p.m. During the welfare check, Christopher gave the police officer permission to search the house, where the family dog was discovered unharmed, but no sign of Shannon or the girls were found. Searchers discovered Shannon's purse containing her keys and her medicine. Her phone was later located between the couch cushions in the family home. Her car, which still contained the girls' car seats, was in the garage. Shannon's wedding ring was found on the bedside table during the search of their home. The FBI and the Colorado Bureau of Investigation joined the investigation the next day. Watts initially told police that he had no idea where his family might be, and that he had not seen his wife since 5:15 a.m., the previous day when he left for work. He gave interviews to Denver stations outside the house, pleading for the return of his wife and daughters. Investigators with search dogs could be heard on the property during the interview.
Wherever they're at, like I have no inclination to where they're at right now. Like I've exhausted like every friend that I know of, and every friend that I have has called friends that Shannon has that maybe I didn't know about, and it's just like it's vanished. Like she's not, like when I got home yesterday, it was like a ghost town. Like she wasn't here, kids weren't here. I have no idea like where they went, and it's just earth-shattering. I don't feel like this is even real right now. It's like a nightmare that I just can't wake up from.
On August 15, 2018, the FBI joined the search for Shannon and her daughters. Chris Watts was administered a polygraph test, which he failed. He subsequently confessed to his father, Ronnie, and then to authorities that he had killed Shannon, but falsely claimed that he did so because Shannon had smothered their daughters. Chris claimed that he had discovered Bella's corpse, and that when he found Shannon in the process of strangling Celeste, he strangled Shannon in a fit of rage before disposing of their bodies at an Anadarko oil field where he worked. Chris was arrested that day. Chris marked the locations of the bodies on a photograph of the oil field for investigators, who arrived there on August 16 at 11 p.m. Chris' daughters, who had been smothered by Watts' bare hands, were found in crude oil storage tanks. while Shannon was buried in a shallow grave. Bella and Celeste's bodies had each been pushed through a hatch at the top of a different oil tank, with the lid being 8 inches (20 centimeters) in diameter. According to the medical examiner, Bella had scratches on her left buttock from being shoved through this hole. A tuft of blonde hair was found on the edge of one of these hatches. On August 21, Watts was charged with 3 counts of first-degree murder, including an additional 1 count per child, cited as death of a child who had not yet attained 12 years of age, and the defendant was in a position of trust, unlawful termination of a pregnancy, and 3 counts of tampering with a deceased human body. By the day of his arrest, Chris had been fired by Anadarko. He was denied bail at his first court appearance. At a later hearing, his bail was set at $5 million, with him being required to put down 15% to be released. On November 29, Colorado authorities released surveillance footage captured in the early morning hours of August 13 on a neighbor's security camera, which showed Chris, hours after he killed his wife and daughters, loading a gas can into the bed of his pickup truck and then backing the vehicle into his garage. Police believed that he was transporting the bodies of his family to the remote oil work site where they were later discovered. This was shortly after Shanann was seen returning home from a business trip, and proved that she never left the home with their daughters the day they disappeared, as Chris had claimed to police. The case has been connected in the media to the crime of family annihilation. Familicide. Many of these crimes occur in August, before school starts, which may delay detection and investigation. According to former FBI profiler Candice DeLong, cases such as this are rare because family annihilators usually commit suicide after the murders, an action that Watts claimed to have contemplated out of guilt for his actions. In an interview on Dr. Phil, Watts's lawyer claimed that Watts had confessed to killing Shanann after an argument regarding divorce. During the murder, Bella walked in on the couple. Watts then told her that Shanann was sick. He loaded Shannon's body and the girls, without their car seats, into the back seat of his work truck. He later smothered the girls, one after the other. Watts pleaded guilty to the murders on November 6. The death penalty was not put forward by the district attorney on the request of Shanann's family, who did not wish for any further deaths. They were supportive of his decision to accept the plea deal. On November 19, he was sentenced to 5 life sentences, 3 consecutive and 2 concurrent, without the possibility of parole. He received an additional 48 years for the unlawful termination of Shannon's pregnancy and 36 years for 3 charges of tampering with the deceased body. The investigation revealed that Chris was having an affair with a co-worker, Nicole Kessinger, who claimed she was unaware he was still married. Chris had been planning a new life with her, and Shanann and the children stood in the way of his future plans. Financial problems also plagued the family. The Watts were struggling with debt, and Shanann's social media activity promoting her MLM business often painted a picture of a life far more stable than it really was. His sentence began immediately. On December 3, 2018, Watts was moved to an out-of-state location due to security concerns. On December 5, he arrived at Dodge Correctional Institution, a maximum security prison in Waupun, Wisconsin, to continue serving his life sentences.